The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar on marketing automation, Review from the C-Suite. We plan to review some research on executive expectations for marketing automation and how to satisfy them. I'm John Daus with InfoStrat, and I have on the line with me today Joel Hinton of ClickDimensions.
Hey, you guys.
So it looks like we've got a few people jumping on right now. We might give them another minute till everybody jumps online. If you do have questions, also we are recording this, so we'll make it available after the webinar if you all would like to be able to review it or share it with other members of your organization. But if you do have questions, there's the box on the control panel where you can type in a question. We'll be monitoring that throughout. And then we will open up the lines to take questions at 2 points during the webinar, after we get through the slide presentations and before we jump into the demo, and then just after we get through the demonstration component. Well, I do want to be respectful of your time, so we've given people a few minutes to jump on for the latecomers. So Joel, why don't we go to the agenda?
Here we go.
And so first we're going to talk a little bit about our companies, share, as I mentioned, some market research conducted by Ascend2, basically around marketing automation. What are the C-suite key objectives, challenges? What are the evaluation criteria for selecting a system? And what are the opinions on a typical implementation or complexity of the complexity and time frame for doing implementation? And then I'll pass it over to Joel to talk about how we satisfy those expectations with a solution like ClickDimensions. And he'll also do the demonstration of ClickDimensions to show you not everything that it's capable of, but some of the few key features as far as addressing the strategic objectives that CMOs and CEOs have provided us. So with that said, we'd like to talk a little bit about our company, just a brief commercial about InfoStrat. It was started over 30 years ago, primarily in software development. It was founded by Jim Townsend, who's published several books on software development and blogs very extensively. And if you go to our website, you can connect to our blog to see his latest writings on either software development or entrepreneurship. The company was one of the first Microsoft partners in the Mid-Atlantic back in the early time frames, and specialized in building solutions based on CRM, collaborative tool suites like SharePoint, and the core dev platforms of .NET. Joel, I'd like to pass it over to you, talk a little bit about ClickDimensions.
Yeah, thank you, John. So I really appreciate you guys taking a few minutes here this afternoon to join us. And my name is Joel Hinton. Like John said, I'm actually a senior partner account manager, and I specifically work within the Mid-Atlantic region. And I really have the opportunity and the privilege to work with Microsoft partners like Jim and John and their team, who really focus on offering the Microsoft suite of products to businesses, organizations all over the world. So just to give you guys a little bit of background about ClickDimensions, ClickDimensions is an email marketing and marketing automation platform. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, there's a lot of email marketing and marketing automation platforms out there today. And that is a true statement. But one of the things that separates ClickDimensions apart from the pack, is that we were designed and originally built for the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem. So we don't use connectors or integration points to actually connect with your Microsoft Dynamics CRM implementation. We are living and breathing inside that CRM. So there's no there's no connectors or integrations or anything like that. We're actually a managed solution that's imported into that environment. So a little bit about ClickDimensions 2 is that we are a full service 24/7, 365 company. So, we have partners and customers all over the world. So whether you're in the United States or you're in New Zealand or wherever you might be, we're going to be able to ensure that you guys are onboarded, trained, and we're providing the support that you guys definitely need to make these products work for you. Another thing is that we are only devoted to the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem. There's actually no one else in the space that is fully devoted like we are. In fact, if you don't have Microsoft Dynamics CRM, or as you presently know it today as Dynamics 365, you can't use ClickDimensions. So we're not a standalone application or anything like that.
So Joel, do you want to talk about the components next?
Yeah. So within marketing automation, these are some of the common features that you're going to find on various platforms out in the market today. And of course, we do, for example, here, as you guys see on the slide, email marketing is a big piece of what we do. However, it's not the only thing that we do. So we're going to give you the capability to send out your emails and get real-time reporting right back into Dynamics with opens, clicks, and to really see the engagement. Prospects or leads are actually interacting with you as an organization. We also give you the capability to track all your visitors on your website, your blog, social media outlets, and score their behavior, so you guys will really get a good idea of who's engaged and who's not. And then also give you the ability to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. Web forms, surveys, landing pages, and subscription management pages, we give you the capability to create and embed these pieces of web content very easily within ClickDimensions inside Dynamics. And then also campaign automation. This is kind of I would say, more of a buzzword if you've spent any time in the marketing automation world, in the last 5 years. Campaign automation is really going to give you an automated approach to actually taking your customers, your prospects or leads down, specific paths and journeys, and really to give you the capability to nurture them or, onboard them or cross-sell to them or whatever it might be. And then also SMS, event management, social marketing are all other components of a full marketing automation system, and then reporting as well. So we're going to hit, of course, we're not going to have time to go into every piece of functionality today, but feel free to connect with us after, and we'll be more than happy to schedule another time with you individually.
Great. So I'd like to jump in and just talk about the research. And one of the key questions that we asked as far as sponsoring the research was, what are the expectations of the C-suite in the year ahead? So to find out, ClickDimensions partnered with Ascend2 to field the State of Marketing Automation Survey. And the data in this edition of the study, titled The Marketing Automation, A View from the C-Suite, exclusively represents the opinions of C-level leaders completing the survey. So the first key question that we had was around what are the strategic objectives that the C-suite are looking at. And number one, top line growth, acquiring more customers. By large, the majority is saying it's to get the customers. And secondly, balancing that with bottom line results, providing and effective or improving the return on investment from that marketing spend. Now, to accomplish those top two objectives, there are other components that are important, like improving the productivity or optimizing campaigns, as Joel mentioned, in the system, and the ability to be able to measure, let's say, each step of the customer journey as they're working their way through their procurement process, or that trying to improve that customer experience, right? How do you improve each step of that process? And then finally, how do you make sure that you are keeping your database clean so that you don't have multiple people listed under maybe different email aliases? And so how do you organize that information? So the next component, besides the top objectives, were really what were the key challenges. And the key things that came up, number one, was the challenge of, okay, number one objective was to acquire customers, and it's also the number one challenge. How do we get more customers in the door? Pretty evenly balanced with the need to improve the ROI, as well as measuring performance. So across this set of questions, it was really pretty evenly balanced as to, here are our key challenges, and then how are we going to go about fixing these things? So what we asked next was about the evaluation criteria. And the number one thing that came across loud and clear was having something, over 2/3 of them really wanted to have a solution that was very easy to implement, that it wasn't really complicated. And as Joel mentioned, the ClickDimensions solution is actually embedded in Dynamics 365. So as far as implementation, it's very easy to install it, turn it on, and then for your marketing managers and sales managers to collaborate on campaigns and work together. It's very easy to do so. So let's go to the last data slide, or next data slide was, the question was about level of complexity, and the majority of them see that implementing a marketing automation solution is extremely complicated or somewhat complicated. So I think if you look at other systems that are standalone and you are trying to coordinate with a customer relationship management system or CRM, there is this need to have a connector to integrate the processes. And so I think that's why the group sees a lot of complexity in deploying a marketing automation in a silo compared to something that might be more integrated together. And then the final part of the survey was around implementation timeframes, and what they considered as the typical time frame. And usually it ran, anywhere from 4 to 6 months is the majority of the implementations. Ours usually don't take that long. Typically, because we are leveraging something like ClickDimensions and its embedded nature into Dynamics 365. So, we see the ability to actually do it in shorter time frames relative to what the survey says. So that was the research that we collected. What I'd like to do is turn it over to Joel now to talk more about how to satisfy those executive expectations.
Thanks, John. So let's go ahead and, I think some of those expectations or questions that were asked in that research study, I think they're very, I think there's a lot of truth to them. And I think that, kind of like you said, John, from an InfoStrat standpoint, with ClickDimensions being native right inside Dynamics 365, I think it actually reduces those types of timeframes and implementations. But let's go ahead and see the research results and then how we can actually satisfy those executive expectations here. So first and foremost, as you guys can see here on this slide, and as we saw in the research portion of this presentation, acquiring customers is both the biggest challenge and objective for C-level executives. And from a ClickDimensions side, we hear this from our prospects all the time when we're talking about marketing automation. So as you can see from this stat, it's pretty mind-blowing that only 79% of qualified marketing leads, they actually never convert into sales. So, I mean, that's a big disconnect between the number of leads that are generated and those are, that are actually converted to customers. Now, fortunately for us, marketing automation mentions offers a number of different features and tools that can actually help to actually bridge or close this gap. So let's go ahead and move on to the next expectation. And as you guys can see here, the other expectation, that C-levels wanted to see is having the ability with marketing automation to acquire more customers. So, one of the things on my previous slide back where I showed the suite of features with ClickDimensions, there was a campaign automation icon up there. But really, one of the most effective marketing automation tools for converting leads to customers is campaign automation. It's kind of a newer word that has been, I would say, within the last 5 to 10 years that has really been made known. But, if you've been in the marketing automation world in any length of time, typically marketers call this nurture marketing. So automated campaigns are really going to allow you to keep your leads and your prospects warm and nurture them actually until they're ready to buy. So here in this screenshot, you guys can see how this real estate brokerage actually used campaign automation to nurture their leads that were not yet ready for an agent to contact them. So also another thing about ClickDimensions that's very powerful compared to, we were talking about Dynamics 365 and ClickDimensions being native. And then these research results really probably come from most of the C-levels out there are using disparate applications for email marketing, campaign automation, web form surveys, landing page, all that. So then what they're trying to do is they're trying to integrate and connect those data points into their Dynamics 365 environment. So, and that's challenging. And, what can be actually connected into Dynamics 365 or other CRMs, that's a challenge. But one of the key things here about ClickDimensions that I'll just tell you a little bit about is, and this goes for, any email campaign that you're sending out or lead nurturing campaign or campaign automation that you're creating, the whole spray and pray approach, it doesn't work today. And also the the super soaker approach, it doesn't work. And one of the key things about ClickDimensions, because we utilize Dynamics 365's database, we're able to actually give you the capability to personalize all of your emails and email campaigns with the data that's sitting right in your CRM environment. So personalized emails are going to improve your deliverability rates, engagement rates, and it really keeps those leads engaged, helping you to really take them along the buying process. So as you can see here too, through this little journey automation, and we'll be able to show you this in the demo, and I'll show you how to build one. It's very simple to do this. But, this is really going to allow your leads and your prospects and customers to progress through any type of automation. And then also you have the capability to add, other components. This is just not a single focused automation, this can include a multi-channel approach for your events or webinars like this, what we're doing today, in-person events, SMS messages, surveys, forms, whatever it might be. These can all be added to automated campaigns to move participants such as prospects, leads, and customers along in the buying cycle here. So let's go ahead and let's go through the next expectation and how we satisfy that. And really the next one we're going to talk about here is, from a C-level standpoint, how do we increase marketing ROI? How do we get the money we spend on our marketing automation tools back and then some? So as we saw the stats on the previous slide, I think marketers' biggest struggle with ROI are really resulting in the data inconsistencies across systems and technology integrations. So remember, you think about it from just a marketing automation standpoint. You have your email marketing platform, you have your web tracking platform, you have your web content platform, surveys and landing pages and forms, and then maybe you want to do SMS messaging, and then maybe you have your event platforms such as GoToWebinar or WebEx or Cvent or Eventbrite or whatever it might be. Just me explaining those to you, I kind of get overwhelmed saying, wow, that is a lot of data coming from all different directions. So, that's really where I would say, the biggest struggle comes today in today's day and age, because there are so many different types of marketing automation platforms out there. But, we've talked about this. So with marketing automation, like ClickDimensions, that sits natively embedded right into Dynamics 365, you're going to be able to overcome those issues very easily. All of your sales and marketing data and tools are actually all in one place. And it really helps to align those two functions for greater outcomes on both sides. So, as you can see on this slide, and we'll get into the live demonstration later, that, you don't have to log into a separate application. Once you log into your Dynamics 365 environment, ClickDimensions lives and breathes right in there. So there's no separation. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about satisfying the expectation of optimizing productivity. So as you can see in this slide, in the statistic here, it says marketing automation drives a 14.5% increase in sales productivity. That's pretty good. Just think about, if you could increase your sales reps' productivity by 14.5%. You're probably scratching your head and thinking to yourself, yeah, right, that's never going to happen with our sales guys or salespeople. Let's just say salespeople. But I'm here to tell you that, marketers today are, really challenged to achieve more in less time with fewer resources. And as we see in our research, that executives really expect the same from a marketing automation solution, to optimize the productivity was ranked in the top 5 for both as an objective and a challenge. Fortunately, with marketing automation, it really excels at boosting the productivity in other departments within an organization. Just think about this, think of a sales rep who's spending his time going through his emails to see, did anyone open it? Did they click on it? Did they respond? Well, with marketing automation tools, instead of, maybe the marketing team or even the sales team, if you wanted to give them the ability to set up a campaign automation, what if he took his leads down a specific path or a journey to send them a sequence of emails? And then depending on how they interact with those emails, they can automatically set up notifications, tasks or activities, maybe even a phone call. Maybe, if someone actually receives an email and that lead or that prospect opens up that emails and clicks on a specific link to take a next step action, well, maybe we automatically send a notification and a task activity for that sales rep to give that prospect or lead a call so he can strike while the iron's hot. So stuff like that is really going to improve, not only from the marketing standpoint, but also from the, other department standpoints to really improve that productivity here. All right, so let's just show you another, just an example of how, I actually have the opportunity and the privilege to work with, a few different sports teams, and as you can see in this specific season ticket nurture campaign automation that we've created for one of our customers, you can see that. This baseball team actually wanted to get a jump on their season ticket renewals. So, for example, for the following year, so maybe they got so far in the playoffs and then, the season ended. Well, then, their marketing team has actually set up a campaign automation in advance. So as soon as the season was over, they could actually schedule everything out to start just after the season ended. And then this automation specifically notifies the sales team of interest from season ticket holders so they can actually follow up at the right time with individuals who are ready to renew their season tickets. So then the sales team can focus their efforts elsewhere until that time. All right, so we talked a little bit about this with ClickDimensions being natively right inside Dynamics 365, and one of the other C-level expectations is how do we measure performance? How do we know that marketing automation is working? So, I feel like we've said this a lot, but the native integration with Dynamics 365 really means that you can combine your marketing and sales data into CRM dashboards, views, reports, and really this is going to allow you to make informed decisions using data that's actually coming in real time. So another thing too is from a ClickDimensions standpoint, you can also use our web tracking to see right within a CRM contact or lead record or customer record, every page that a visitor has viewed on your website, how long they've been on that specific page, what page, all of that information to more effectively target individuals and better understand their needs and their stage in the buying cycle. Also, if you guys are familiar with Dynamics 365 and Microsoft suite of products, ClickDimensions also has a content pack for Power BI. So you can, with our content pack, our data automatically goes into the BI analytics tool, and then it's going to give you the capability to visualize the data in new ways and gaining deeper insights into your sales and marketing efforts as well. So that's specifically the expectations that we're trying to satisfy, from the C-levels. And I think what we're going to do now is, John, I'll go ahead and turn it back to you before we go ahead and get into the demo here. And John, if you can hear me, I believe you might be on mute. So if you were talking, I can't hear you.
All right. Hey, thanks, Joel. I wanted to thank you for going through how do we address expectations. And if you do, any of the audience member have questions, you can go down into the question drop down, type in the question dialog box, and then we can answer them as we get ready to switch over to the demonstration. So it doesn't look like we have any questions yet, Joel. If you want to go ahead and jump into the demo component.
Yeah, absolutely, I can do that. So let me go ahead and pop over my screen here. Okay. So John, go ahead and just confirm with me that you can see my my D365 environment, if you would.
Yeah, that looks good. Maybe zoom a little bit more. I don't know if everybody else can see that well online. If I go to full screen.
Okay, that might be a little bit better there. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay, so first and foremost, if, you know, and for our registrants today who are on the call with us on the webinar, even if this is your first time seeing Dynamics 365, there's only one login. So once you log into Dynamics 365 with your username and password, you're going to see firsthand, you know, right from the main navigation up here at the top, you'll be able to go into the different areas of your CRM. So specifically, once you're in Dynamics 365, remember, ClickDimensions is an embedded solution right into this CRM. So ClickDimensions will actually live and breathe right off its main drop-down here. And then all of that functionality that we talked about earlier on some of those slides that we were showing, you know, gives you the capability to go in here. So first and foremost, as we go in here, and this is kind of the, you know, this is just the visualization and the dashboards that pull up with our Power BI content pack. Right when you actually use the Power BI content pack and it comes in as a dashboard. So you can see right here from a website viewing standpoint, you can see all the people that are coming to our website, you know, from referring type over the last 30 days. So, you know, direct traffic, search engine traffic, email traffic, unknown traffic. Also, you can see here, you know, top 10 visits by referring type. You know, who's bringing, you know, is it Google or Yahoo or Bing? Are those search engines bringing you the top visitors to your sites? You can track that kind of stuff. Also, you can see here from visits by location over the last 30 days, you know, if we wanted to drill into this map here, we could do that. But, you know, ClickDimensions, we're a global company, so we have people coming to our website from all over the world. So, you know, we're actually tracking our visitors. You know, we actually cookie their browser, and then we recognize the IP address and location as well. As we scroll down here too, you can actually see this visualization of all the posted forms coming in by month. But if we wanted to drill down into any one of these visualizations here in dashboards, we can get the granular level information from them as well. Same thing with visitors from, you know, within the last 24 hours coming onto your websites. You know, whether they're contacts or leads, we'll be able to show you that in this actual dashboard as well. But that's just one of many dashboards that you'll have available to you. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit, you know, let's go ahead and show you some of the components that we were talking about earlier in our research and satisfying some of the expectations of C-levels. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into campaign automation. So for example, remember, this tool is going to give you the capability to actually, you know, create nurture campaigns, onboarding campaigns, cross-selling campaigns, whatever it may be you can think of. So, you know, even think about this. So you guys are attending our webinar today. So actually receive some emails based on a campaign automation. So for example, if we go into our campaign automation feature here, and you can just give your campaign automation a name, and you can see this is our webinar for our marketing automation, a view from the C-suite that you guys registered for. And then I also tied it to a Dynamics 365 campaign as well. So once we do that, we can open up the builder here. Now within the campaign automation builder, it's super easy to use. It's going to start out with a blank canvas. So from this blank canvas over on the right-hand side, what you're going to be able to see is you're going to be able to see a few different things. First and foremost, you're going to be able to see automation elements over here to the right. So in the orange circle automation elements, these are called triggers. So these are going to actually allow you to start out a campaign automation. And I'll talk to you in just a minute about those. Also, you're going to have these action buttons here that are in these blue squares. You'll also have these timers, which are in the yellow squares. So you can, you know, put wait timers or date timers in there, and then also the series box here that can connect actions and actual triggers together. So here, let's just go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the triggers. So if someone were to come on your website to fill out a form, you can start a campaign automation like that. If they register for an event, if they attend an event, if they have an email interaction, if they submit a subscription form, surveys, whatever it might be here, we can start these automations very easily from these triggers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to pull in this added to list trigger. So not to confuse you guys, but this is just starting this campaign automation off with a marketing list that you've created. So for example, with our marketing list here, we actually created a marketing list for this webinar, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in this marketing list here. So as you can see, we're going to start this campaign automation based on all of our leads, contacts, customers, or prospects that might want to attend this webinar that we're actually hosting today. So once we do that, then we can actually scroll down here in the campaign automation builder and go ahead and pull in this series box here. So once we pull in this series box, what I want to do is I want to connect this marketing list that I've created to this series box. So here, what we're going to be able to do now is double click on the series box. And now we want to start to automate some of these processes. So for example, once I clicked into the series box, now it's going to give me the capability to pull in these actions. So for example, maybe we want to send these recipients on that marketing list an email. Maybe after we send the first email, we can actually connect the dots here and we put in a wait timer. So here, maybe we want to wait a couple days, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month, whatever, depending on the automations that you're building here, you can adjust this accordingly here. Now, if you didn't want to use a wait timer specifically, maybe we want to take that out and put in a date timer here. So if you want to specify a specific time and date until the next action occurs, we can go ahead and do that here. So if you want to pick the date here, let's just say, okay, well, we'll go ahead and tomorrow at this specific time between these hours, then we'll go ahead and we'll send them another email. So that first email will go out, we'll wait until tomorrow between 1 and 1:30, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to send them the second email. So let's just pretend, and I'll pull in this email template here. And I'll actually, let's see if I can pull in the one that maybe you guys actually received here to register for this webinar. So I'll pull that in. Now, if I click on this specific link for this email, it's actually going to pull up the email template that we've created. Now, with ClickDimensions, remember, one of the expectations that needed to be satisfied was ease of implementation and use. So from a ClickDimensions standpoint, we give you the capability to, we actually have 4 different designers that you can actually create your email templates in. So we have a drag and drop, which in our block editor, which are geared for your more non-technical marketer. We also have a freestyle WYSIWYG, and then we also have an HTML editor. But here, we created this this webinar email template right in our drag and drop editor. So, and I'll just pull up the editor just so you guys can see this and get firsthand look at this. So here, over to the right, what you're going to see is the layouts that you can choose from here. Once you choose the layout, and we chose the no column layout here, now it's going to give you the capability to choose the content that you actually want to drag and drop into your actual template here. So you have the capability to drag and drop the content types that you want into your email. It's really simple and easy to use. But another thing that I want to show you too that we talked about is personalization. So here, if I click right within inside this text block, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to say, okay, hit this little personalize button, and now it's going to unlock the doors to all the CRM data from a lead, contact, and account record. So specifically, this is going to give you the capability to personalize your email communications, improving engagement and deliverability to your recipients here. So you have that capability as well. Nice thing about ClickDimensions too is we are mobile responsive, so we ensure that your emails look sharp no matter what device they're viewed on. Emails automatically adjust based on the size of the display rendering it here, and we do all the HTML and CSS work for you. But it doesn't stop there too. We also check your emails before you even send them out against the most commonly used spam filters, and we check them against desktop, mobile, web-based email clients, various versions and platforms, so you can actually get an understanding of what your email is going to look like and if it's going to pass through spam filters before you even send it out. So for example, if you want to, if most of your subscribers are viewing from, an iPad or an iOS device or whatever it might be here, you're going to have that capability to see exactly what it's going to look like before you even send it out. So whether it's an iPhone 5 or 6 or 8 or iPhone X, whatever it might be, or an Android device, you're going to be able to see that here as well. So that's just from an email standpoint, but let's go ahead and jump back into that specific campaign automation that I was building here. So remember, I just pulled in that specific email template that I showed you how easy it was to build. So we took that marketing list, we sent this group of recipients an email, we waited until tomorrow between 1 and 1:30, and then we're going to send them this email. So let's go ahead and hit save and go back now. So and this is some of the automation stuff that I was talking about that really improves productivity actually for marketing and sales. So here, once we've sent out those 2 emails within this series, well, now we're going to say, okay, let's go ahead and pull in this email interaction trigger here, and then we'll connect this series to this email interaction. So specifically, remember, we're trying, this is just a hypothetical example of, from the webinar we're doing today. But you can see here, once I pull in this email, now I'm going to have the capability to select that email. What we can do here is say, based on that email, that second email that I just picked, in that series, I want to say, okay, if these recipients actually click within that email template that I just created, if they click, maybe this link, well, let's go ahead and say that if they click on this register now link, and I'll save that, if they click on that register now link, now we're going to take them down the green path. Now, if they don't click on that register now link, let's go ahead and take them down the negative path, and we call that the red path. So if they did click the register, let's go ahead and click into this series. And first and foremost, I'm going to actually notify that user in regards to the account owner of that contact or lead. And then I'm also going to create a task or an activity for them to follow up, give them a call, whatever it might be here, you can go ahead and put those in there. So if I connect the dots, you can see that. But then, maybe if they register based on them registering for this event, maybe we want to add them to a new marketing list based on registrations or whatever it might be here. So you guys can just kind of get a feel for how easy it is through a drag and drop interface to create these types of campaign automations. Now, the campaign automations, whatever you can think of, from onboarding to cross-selling to, new customers, whatever it might be, if you can think it up, you can build it within this campaign automation builder. But let's go ahead and go back to, the negative path here. So specifically, if they didn't interact with that campaign, well, then let's go ahead and if they didn't interact with that, they didn't click on that specific link, maybe we need to do a better job of nurturing them. So maybe we want to send another email, maybe we want to put in a wait timer, maybe we want to send another email, maybe we want to mix it up a little bit, and maybe you want to send an SMS message too. So depending on the channels that you want to communicate through, you're going to have that capability here. So it's very easy to build out these types of campaign automations. And then if in that email that we send, and I'll just pull in that same one just to give you guys an idea here, and I'll pull that one in, and then I'll hit save and go back. And then once again, we can say, hey, well, did they interact with that series of emails? So on this email interaction trigger, maybe we want to say, okay, maybe they didn't click, maybe they just opened without clicking. So if they open, then we can start to nurture them in a new and different way. So this is just an example from a campaign automation standpoint. These are the types of things that you're going to have the capability to build out within our campaign automation platform. So let's talk a little bit about campaigns and statistics and reporting and analytics based on the campaigns that you're running. So for example, on every email send that we do, we're actually generating a report. So within an email send report, this is kind of what you're going to see based on, for example, you can see here, these are all, this is our ClickDimensions August 2017 newsletter here. Now, if I go into the email statistics report of this actual email campaign, it's also going to give you some really granular level information based on how this email campaign actually performed. So as you can see here, this is going to show you the overall performance of this campaign. You're going to be able to see all the recipients, the excluded emails, the interactions, the bounces, the unsubscribes, your click rates, unique clicks, open rates, hard and soft bounces. Also, if we did any type of A/B testing for this campaign, you would be able to see that here. Also, from a granular level view, you're going to be able to see email clients. So based on this email campaign that we sent out, how many people open from a desktop? How many people open from a mobile device? If they did open from a mobile device or a desktop, what client did they use? Was it iOS? Was it their Outlook client? Was it Hotmail or Yahoo or Android? So we're going to give you those type of statistics here. Conversions, these are really important. So based on this email campaign that we just actually sent out, how many people actually came to your website? You can see here in this August newsletter that we sent out, 2.46% actually came to our website at least once. That equated to 479 recipients, leads, contacts, and customers. Also, you can see here that we had 52 recipients submitted at least one form and one actually recipient submitted at least one survey. So we're going to be able to give you that kind of data as well. Click reports. So within your emails that you're sending out, from this specific email, you can see that we had actually 23 clickable links here. So specifically, and I'll just spotlight this so you can see if I can do that. Let's see here if I can get that. And it's not liking me here. No, it's not going to work. So here, as you can see here down at the bottom, you can see 1 out of 23. So these are all the links that are being clicked on within that email template. Now, if I click on any one of these hyperlinks here, what it's going to do is this is pretty cool because it's actually going to allow us to drill down into every lead, contact, or account record within your CRM that actually clicked on that specific link. So remember, all of this data is live, reportable, and actionable. So you're going to be able to see all of that within here. So for example, if I wanted to pick on any one of these contacts or lead records, I'll pick on Christy here. Christy actually works for us. She's actually a part of our market development and sales development team. So if I click on her contact record, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up their contact form. And then we're going to get a really good granular level view of, how Christy is engaged with us as a customer or a prospect or lead. So here you can see who she is. You can see her lead score based on the parameters that we've set within ClickDimensions. You can also see her subscription preferences. So you can see that she's actually opted out of our newsletter, but that must have been recently, special events, product update notifications, and our blog. Now, if I scroll down here into her contact form, you can see that Chrissy has actually posted 13 forms, ClickDimensions forms. The last one was this blueprint web form that she filled out. You can see all the information in which she filled out on that form from the ClickDimensions form if I drill down into that form. So you'll be able to see the label and the value that she filled out within that form here. Remember, all of this data is reportable and actionable within CRM here. Now, if I go back to Christy's contact record and scroll down a little bit more, past the forms, you're also going to be able to see that we've sent 79 emails to Christy. This last one was this last chance to register for one of the webinars that we were doing. You can see that it was delivered, she didn't open, she didn't click it, she didn't recognize this as spam, she didn't unsubscribe, and you can see the time and date in which we sent it. Also, if we use an A/B testing strategy here, you would be able to see that as well. Now, if we wanted to, we've sent her 79 emails, so if I wanted to drill through all of these emails and see the engagements, you can actually see that here, within here. So you're going to have a really clear view of how this person, prospect, customer, contact, or lead has actually engaged with you. Also, as I scroll down here in Christy's contact record, you're going to be able to see that Christy's been on our website 1,195 times. The last time that she came in was actually today, about 40 minutes ago. You can see the IP organization in which she came from. You can see the contact. You can see the page title, the page, when she viewed it, the duration score, browser and operating system. If we've tied it to a CRM campaign record, you're going to be here as well. And then you're also going to be able to see the visit record and the time and date stamp here. So as you drill into this is going to give you the entry and the exit page. You're going to be able to see all of that specific information with the total pages, duration, and score on every website visit here. So with that, you know, that's kind of just a really, we're really just scratching the surface here from a campaign automation and email functionality and the statistics and all of the reporting that you can have within Dynamics CRM with ClickDimensions. Now, as we...
Hey, Joel, before you transition, we did have a question that came in about when you're establishing the list for doing, let's say, this email marketing campaign. Can you explain kind of the difference? Can it be static or dynamic?
Yes, absolutely. So, with ClickDimensions, remember, we're native. We actually use the native functionalities of Dynamics, such as marketing lists, campaigns, workflows, views, dashboards, queries, and everything like that. So, you know, all I did was to create that marketing list here. I went into the marketing list section under marketing inside your Dynamics 365 environment, and then you can go ahead and create a static or a dynamic list. Now, specifically within the campaign automation, what we would ask you to do is if you actually go ahead and create that dynamic list, the nice thing about the marketing function is you can actually copy it over to a static list, and then you would add that to the campaign automation. Is that
useful for some of the people that aren't familiar with that terminology? I mean, what's the difference between static and dynamic?
Yeah, that's a great question. So specifically here, as you guys can see here in the marketing list section, if let me just say Joel's test marketing list here, and to give you some terminology around this, a static list is okay, it's static. It's not going to update or change by itself. So if you wanted to, like for example, if you wanted to build this marketing list and build it based on contacts within the CRM, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to hit save here. And if it's a static list, you're going to have to manage the recipients or the members yourself. And then if you want to remove members from this marketing list, well, you're going to have to remove them yourself. However, if you wanted to create a dynamic list, and I shouldn't have saved that because it's locked in there now, but let me just say, you know, if you wanted to create a, I'll just create a new one here, and if you wanted to create a dynamic list based on the criteria that you specify, let's just say test here, and then I'll choose a dynamic list here, and I'll say let's target this at contacts, and then I'll hit save. So what I haven't showed you is the ability to pull in members to this marketing list. So if I hit the plus button here, I'm going to have the capability to add members to this dynamic list manually or through a query. So specifically here, here's my advanced find, my query. So I'll go ahead and pull in a view that I already have. So for example, I'll just pull in this view that I've already created with my contacts with Facebook profiles. So here, these are all the contacts in our CRM with Facebook profiles. So if I hit use the query, it's going to pull in 631 contacts here. Now specifically, with a dynamic list, okay, if anyone is added to your Dynamics 365 environment as a contact and they have a Facebook profile, well, because this list is dynamic, it's going to automatically update and put them on this marketing list. However, let's just say, for example, Alan here gets rid of his Facebook account and he no longer has that Facebook URL in his contact record because we've recognized him having a Facebook account. If he gets rid of his Facebook account, well, Alan's actually going to be automatically removed from this dynamic list because it's dynamic. So I hope that wasn't too detailed of a explanation.
No, I think that was great. I think, Abby, thanks for that question. It allowed us to explain a little bit more about the system. I just want to be sensitive to time. We're at about 55 minutes in, so we have about 5 more minutes. Were there any other specific things that people would like to see? You just want to either raise your hand or put a question out there so that we can show you those specifics in the system. I know one of the things we were thinking of showing, Joel, was the social monitoring. I don't know if we have time.
Yeah, I can just hit that
capability.
Yeah, yep. So, and I apologize, I kind of went long on there, but what I would say is this too: if you guys want to see any of those specific pieces, more on a, on another call or whatever it might be, just let John or I know, and we'll be more than happy to do that. But from a social standpoint, ClickDimensions is really excited to announce our new social engagement add-on, and it's really going to give you the capability to manage all your social media activity from within Dynamics 365 through ClickDimensions. It's going to allow you to schedule, publish, have all the analytics and reporting, content curation, listening, campaign tracking, and also advocacy programs with ClickDimensions. So, and I know we're coming up on time here, but I'll just pull this up here so you guys can see this. So here's a piece of our social engagement from that we've just actually released here in the last few months. So specifically here, over here on the left-hand column, you're going to have the capability to go in here. Now this is just our campaign dashboard, but specifically, if you go into our dashboards here, it's going to give you, all the engagement here, posts, clicks, conversions, your recent campaign. So, even if I wanted to drill into any one of these campaigns, I can do that from this main navigation. Now, if we want to go into the campaigns here and say, okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the ClickDimensions blog post campaigns, I can drill right into that. And then you're going to have the capability to based on a calendar, you're going to have the capability to actually schedule your posts, create posts through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google, you name it. We're going to be able to do it from here. So you'll be able to actually, do all of that through our new social engagement feature. And then, of course, you're going to be able to get all the analytics, on some pretty nice views and dashboards here based on all the types of posts that you're doing, conversions, conversion analysis here. And then once again, I mean, if you, pull back into, let me just pull in our social dashboard here so you guys can see this. You're going to be able to get all of this information in Dynamics 365, and you're going to be able to see all, how your social campaigns are actually performing within your Dynamics 365 environment. So,
hey Joel, I did get a couple other questions I want to address before we jump off here and run out of time. So we will be distributing the PowerPoint afterwards. So for all those that did sign up, we will send a follow-up email note with the PowerPoint and then a link to the recorded webinar. So there was another question around a group that's using something like Exact Target. So do you compete with Exact Target? Are they complementary in some fashion?
Yeah. So I'm very actually I used Exact Target and Pardot for about 3 years before I came to ClickDimensions. So in regards to features and capabilities, there are some distinct things that ClickDimensions does a little bit differently than Exact Target, but from you know, from a suite of products or features, ClickDimensions has all the features and capabilities ExactTarget does, and more. So, you know, I don't want to go too much into the specifics about that, but, you know, one thing that you got to remember, ExactTarget, and especially if you're using Dynamics 365, they have a connector. I don't know if your connector is set up or not, but it's very limited with the data that's actually pulling and pushing, you know, to and from that system. So, you know, one of the greatest advantages is, you know, getting this data real time in your CRM environment and having the ability to use campaign automations and workflows natively to the system to actually automate a lot of your processes here.
So I did have one more that came in, Joel, about does the system also provide marketers resource management capabilities?
Yeah, so
how do you define the resource management component?
Yeah, so we're not an MRM platform. However, it just depends on what you mean by that. You know, I think I would need some more clarification on, you know, are you talking more about, you know, storing assets, video files, pictures, stuff like that, or is this more around, you know, campaign planning, all of that stuff? So I would need some more clarification on that, but I'd love to connect with that person after the call.
Okay, well, maybe we can do that. So we're about out of time, Joel, for our session this afternoon. So I do want to thank everybody for their thoughtful questions. And if you do have any other questions for us, Joel, you want to jump to the last slide? I think has our email addresses to either myself, John D. at InfoStrat.com, or to Joel.Hinton at ClickDimensions.
Sorry about that. Yep, there you go. Let me see if I can get that in there. Didn't like that. There we go.
See, I'm still seeing your ClickDimensions.
Can you see that now?
Dynamics 365. Not seeing the last slide.
Let me pop my screen back over here. Sorry about that. Can you see it now?
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Those are our email addresses. And also, as I mentioned, once we compile the video, we will send a follow-up note in the next day or two to you, copying the slide deck and a link to the video. So, Joel, thank you for your time this afternoon, and thanks everybody for joining us for the webinar on marketing automation, a C-suite perspective.
Thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon. See ya.
All right. Bye.